I got them now.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Okay.
You
Wonderful. Okay.
and I just recognize that they got here. Tim Robinson
Oh, okay. Thank you.
and Deanna.
Okay.
Deanna, when did we pull you up?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to Pastor Deckard for having us today. Pastor, if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you here. And Pastor and I actually met each other the day that we tore down an abandoned apartment building that had been infested with all kinds of bad elements just here in Cypress Station down the street. And I knew he's a doer and leads just such an incredible community. And I was not surprised to see you here again in the middle of these impactful programs, Pastor. Thank you very much. And to your congregation and your team who've been so welcoming. I want to thank our congressional delegation for getting American Rescue Plan funding for this project. I know that the office of the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is here, as well as Congressman Al Green. And, we couldn't, oh my goodness, and how could I possibly forget? Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia's Chief of Staff who's here. And so thank you so much, because we would absolutely not be able to do this, but for your advocacy and your support for the region. That is where these funds came from. We're here at Greenhouse International Church today. It's 5 minutes away from one of the key target zip codes eligible for our program. Greenhouse International is also one of the 12 help centers and application hubs that we've set up where people can go if they need assistance filling up the application and actually fill out the application with support. So you guys see that desk over there right at the entrance and I'll drop by over to chat with the supporters later, but tomorrow it'll be set up and already the computers are there for people to come in and receive support applying no matter which of the zip codes they're here from. There's no better place to announce that applications for Uplift Harris, Harris County's Guaranteed Income Pilot Program, will officially open tomorrow at 9 a.m. And we are just so proud of that. It's been a lot of work. Our public health department, county administration, all the departments that have taken part in this, and of course, Commissioner Ellis and your office who've taken the lead on this project. It's a program that is going to make such a difference to the residents of Harris County. Not a solution to poverty, but the best solution we have and the best tool that we have in the toolbox. Our state is the 8th largest economy in the world, and yet 2 in 5 Houston residents, almost half of Houston residents, say they would be unable to pay for a $400 emergency. We have a growing income inequality problem. The bottom 20% of households in Harris County account for 3% of total income, and the top 20% receive 53% of total income. As county leaders, we have a duty to do everything we can to tackle poverty and income inequality. And guaranteed income is an idea that has shown a lot of promise. Politicians and economists, as far as Richard Nixon and Milton Friedman, advocated for the idea of a universal basic income. So did Martin Luther King Jr. And these programs have been implemented around the world and around the nation with positive results. The reason that guaranteed income programs are gaining so much traction is because they work. In Stockton, California, where they implemented a similar program, the evaluation found that full-time employment among participants increased. In Hudson, New York, similar results. Employment increased from 29% to 63%, according to the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. So huge numbers of improvements. Cash recipients in Stockton reported being less anxious and depressed than the control group that did not receive cash assistance. Other people here, or some people, when they hear cash assistance, direct financial assistance, they hear we're giving out cash payments with virtually no strings attached, and understandably, they get worried. How can we guarantee that the families will actually spend it on resources that help them? Well, according to research that tracked 7,300 recipients in cities across the nation, 41% of the funding was spent on retail, sales, and services, 28% on food and groceries, transport and utility came third. People know best what their individual needs are and need to give them the freedom and discretion to spend the money on what they need most. So how to apply, and Commissioner Ellis and Director Robinson are going to talk more about the program details, but let me just say that tomorrow, January 12th, it's a Friday, at 9 a.m., residents will be able to apply by going to upliftharris.harriscountytx.gov, and the phone number is 832-927-6060, 832-927-6060. The website is uplift.harriscountytx.gov. Applications will be open until February 2nd at 11:59 p.m. And let me be very clear, this is like the way we did COVID vaccines back a couple years ago. This is not a first come, first serve program, okay? So there is no benefit to somebody applying tomorrow at 9 a.m. versus somebody applying on February 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Once all the applications have been received, there will be a randomized selection, and folks will be selected from those zip codes as well as from an Access Harris program. The application and the website will be available in 5 languages: English, Spanish, Vietnamese, French, and Chinese, which are the most common languages spoken within these 10 zip codes. And our evaluator, independent evaluator, will be conducting research on this along the way. We are working on monitoring and evaluating this program every step of the way, and I'm just so excited to see it finally coming to fruition. Let me repeat my remarks in Spanish. Muchas gracias al Pastor Deckard por habernos recibido el día de hoy. El pastor es el líder de esa increíble iglesia. Afuera, precisamente, hay muchísimos inmigrantes esperando apoyo de la iglesia. Vienen consistentemente porque trabaja el pastor con mucha diligencia. También quiero reconocer a la oficina de la congresista Silvia García, está presente, al igual que la oficina del congresista Al Green y la congresista Sheila Jackson Lee, y más que nada mi colega, el comisionado Rodney Ellis, quien fue el que impulsó este programa de la mano con el Departamento de Salud Pública y los varios departamentos del condado. Está aquí también la administradora del condado, Diana Ramírez. En el condado Harris somos un condado muy grande, una potencia económica en el estado, y para que sepan, el estado de Texas es la 8ª economía más grande en el mundo, pero 15% de la población vive justo al nivel de la pobreza o bajo del nivel oficial de la pobreza. 2 de cada 5 residentes de Houston, casi la mitad de las personas en Houston, dicen que no podrían pagar una emergencia de $400. Entonces, ¿cómo es eso posible? Además, el 20% de los hogares que ganan más dinero tienen el 53% de los ingresos en nuestro condado. El 20% de los hogares que ganan menos dinero solamente tienen el 3% de los ingresos. Hay mucha desigualdad y hay demasiada pobreza aquí en este condado. Nosotros tenemos un deber de hacer todo lo que podamos para abordar el tema de la pobreza y la desigualdad de ingresos de una manera eficaz. Este tema de los ingresos garantizados no es nuevo. Políticos y economistas desde Richard Nixon hasta Milton Friedman, el economista capitalista, como también Martin Luther King Jr., han abogado por esta solución. Más de 80 ciudades y condados alrededor del país lo han implementado, así como más de 10 países alrededor del mundo. ¿Y por qué hay tantos lugares implementando estos programas? Porque funcionan. No hay una solución directa a la pobreza, pero programas como estos ayudan a avanzar la situación. Cuando hubo un programa en Stockton, California, la evaluación independiente se dio cuenta que el empleo de tiempo completo incrementó entre los participantes. En Hudson, Nueva York, vio los mismos resultados. El empleo incrementó de un 29% a un 63% de participantes, más del doble. Los niveles de ansiedad y depresión vieron reducidos, y es la misma prueba que vemos alrededor del mundo, alrededor del país. Otra pregunta que tuve yo, ¿cómo sabe usted que van a utilizar los fondos de una manera responsable? Y las investigaciones nos demuestran que ese es el caso, que más que nada se utilizan los fondos en compras y servicios, en comida, en ir al supermercado, en transporte. Entonces, en general, los individuos que reciben los fondos los utilizan de una manera responsable. El anuncio grande es que mañana, el 12 de enero, es un viernes a las 9 de la mañana, ya los residentes van a poder aplicar para este programa. El programa está en uplift.harriscountytx.gov. 832-927-6060 es el teléfono. Pueden recibir ayuda vía número telefónico y en la página web pueden aplicar. La página web está disponible en español, así como inglés, vietnamita, francés y chino, mandarín. Nuevamente el teléfono es 832-927-6060 a partir de mañana a las 9 de la mañana y la página web uplift.harriscountytx.gov. Para ser muy claros, este proceso no es solicitud por orden de llegada. Entonces, vamos a estar recibiendo aplicaciones desde mañana a las 9 de la mañana hasta más luego, hasta el 2 de febrero a las 11:59 de la noche. Y aplique usted cuando aplique, no va a tener ninguna ventaja ni desventaja. Cuando terminen las aplicaciones va a haber una selección en proceso al azar. Vamos a evaluar este proyecto consistentemente. También habrán 12 centros donde la gente pueda acudir para recibir apoyo llenando su aplicación. Uno de los centros es aquí en la iglesia donde estamos. Ahora, en cuanto a los inmigrantes indocumentados, es una batalla que sigo luchando. Hoy día sabemos que los inmigrantes que vivan con alguien en el hogar, que tenga estatus de inmigración legal, bien sea ser refugiado, bien sea tener el green card, la residencia, que se les haya dado ya también el asilo, el hogar en sí puede aplicar. Estamos luchando porque si usted tiene el hogar y tiene un hijo menor de edad que sea ciudadano, residente, asilo, etcétera, que su hogar pueda aplicar. Los mantenemos informados. Por ahora, la persona con estatus legal tiene que tener más de 18 años y yo sé que eso es difícil porque, bueno, los chicos 18 ya se habrán ido, pero en esa lucha continuamos. Igual estamos buscando crear un programa similar con fondos privados, pero estoy empujando mucho a los líderes del condado que nos ayuden con esto. Entonces, vamos a seguir evaluando este programa. Son 24 meses, 18 meses de fondos, $500 al mes. Espero que resulte este programa como ha resultado en otras ciudades y en otros países. Con eso, I'll pass it on to Commissioner Ellis.
Thank you, Judge. Make sure I don't lose that phone there. Pastor Deckard, I want to thank you for opening up your church. This church is a great place for so many programs. Is this your phone?
Yours? No.
Okay. Whose is this? Oh, don't let me keep, this is reporter's phone? Don't let me keep your phone? This church is an important place for so many leaders in our community. We come and have press conferences on a regular basis. I've been here when he's been feeding people. I've been here when he's been taking applications for housing. So, Pastor, thank you for opening your church up again. After me, you'll hear from Barbie Robinson, the Director of Public Health. Our county administrator is here as well, Deanna Ramirez, and she'll have a few words as well. As we approach Martin Luther King Day, I wanted to remind us of his call, as the judge did, for a guaranteed income program to end poverty and make real this country's promise of freedom, equality, and justice for all. Decades later, the promise remains unfulfilled, but we're taking steps to make his dream a reality through Uplift Harris. This is just one part of a very comprehensive program. Every family in Harris County deserves access to opportunities and resources that they need to make ends meet. Despite our region's vast prosperity, Harris County has some of the worst economic inequality in America. With high rates of poverty, decades of neglect, inequitable investments, and discrimination have helped lead us to where we are. Many communities in this county are financially destabilized and have been that way for generations. It's been perpetuated by inequality and built upon unfair barriers to prosperity. The pandemic and soaring costs have made things worse for families struggling to get by and just want to make ends meet. Approximately 8% of Harris County residents, primarily Black and Latino families, live in areas of persistent poverty. Nearly 9% of our workforce are working poor, and they don't earn enough to make ends meet. that's taking its toll on families and undermining our region's economic health and prosperity. That's why Harris County is piloting Uplift Harris. It is just a pilot to provide an income floor, the stable ground that families need to rise above poverty and build a better life. I want to thank Dr. Robinson and her team. They did a great job. I know that the 5 of us on Commissioners Court are a challenging group to work with, but you did a good job. I want to thank my staff and the judges' staff in particular because they took the lead on designing this program. I want to encourage, as Lena Hidalgo did, families who are eligible to apply tomorrow and invite others to learn more about the pilot program. Uplift Harris is just a part of our county's broader strategy to address inequality, reduce poverty, and foster economic prosperity. Across the county, across this country, guaranteed income programs have shown to be effective at helping improve a family's stability, economic mobility, and well-being by reducing housing instability and food insecurity, increasing education and employment opportunities as well. But the benefits go even further. Families report improvements to their physical and mental health, being able to spend more time with their children, and a greater sense of self-determination when they are trusted with the resources that they need and they decide what to do with them. With Uplift Harris, our guaranteed income program, this pilot program, we're joining a number of other places around the country. LA County, Cook County, Austin, the city of Austin, 45 cities and other counties in a national effort to realize Martin Luther King's vision of a guaranteed income to advance economic freedom and prosperity. I'm proud to participate in this vital effort. I hope that it works. I hope that people apply. I hope it's a model, and I hope that my colleagues on Commissioners Court are willing to look at this, make changes, and expand on this program. I want to stress it is just a beginning. And I want to stress again, it is part of a much broader package. The judge did this, but I want to do it again if you might. This program is only possible because the Biden-Harris administration made funds available to let us do this. And it's only possible because 3, generally 4, sometimes 5 of us on Commissioners Court were willing to take this money and do creative, innovative, new strategies like this instead of just filling holes in the budget. Our congressional delegation, all of the Democrats, I want to thank them in particular because they voted for it. Even my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who didn't vote for it, I appreciate them as well, and hope that this program sets an example, and maybe we'll get stronger support and more funding, maybe from the federal level or the state level, if not on our level, to do it again. Yoruba Harris is here, the district director for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Give her a round of applause because we appreciate this $20.5 million. John Chapa Korchinski, who I've known forever. He's just vanishing. He's so thin now. He may have tipped out from Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia's office. He is our district director. Give him a round of applause and tell him I asked you to clap. I think he might have tipped out. And Robertine Jefferson. I want to call your daddy's name was Robert Jefferson. Robertine Jefferson is here, director special projects for Congressman Al Green. Lizzie Fletcher, I want to thank her as well in her absence. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Director Robinson and then Deanna Ramirez. And then we'll take questions.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm Barbie Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of Harris County Public Health. I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank Judge Hidalgo, Commissioner Ellis, and the Commissioners Court for making this investment in really a monumental program that really has the capacity to move the needle on addressing and eradicating poverty as part of this pilot. As my leadership has already said, we are one of several jurisdictions around the country that has implemented this model, and they've seen promising results, and we're confident and hopeful that we will see similar results in terms of reducing poverty improving well-being and self-sufficiency, and the mental health. We know that poverty causes trauma, and we know that trauma leads to many other social ills, health ills, et cetera. And as the health department, our goal is to address and improve the social determinants of health, and Uplift Harris County is a key component to us really driving home and moving the needle on addressing inequities in our health system and poor health outcomes for the residents of Harris County. I want to talk a little bit about the process for enrolling in the program. The program will serve approximately 1,900 individuals. It's divided between individuals that live in 10 zip codes within Harris County, and those are the 10 zip codes where we see the most pervasive poverty, those individuals that are living at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. The other participants, around 30% of those individuals, will be participating or coming from our Access Harris County program. As you've heard today, the application opens tomorrow. We are so eager and excited. We've done incredible work to educate outreach around this model. We've had 30,000 inquiries into this program so far, and we know that this is a great program and individuals will benefit from it. And so as we move forward tomorrow in launching this program at 9 a.m. tomorrow, the application will remain open until February 2nd till 11:59 p.m. And as the judge mentioned, this isn't a first come, first served program, and I'll speak a little bit about the process. So individuals are encouraged throughout this open enrollment, so to speak, period, to apply for this program. And so after the application process closes, our Give Directly, who is the vendor that is administering this program, we're grateful for their leadership. They are a national and international leader in these kinds of guaranteed income programs around the world, not just within the United States. They're administering the program in Cook County and other jurisdictions. They will then, after the application period closes, they will then randomly select 6,000 individuals from the pool of applicants, and they will then do a verification process. That verification process looks at the eligibility criteria. Are they of the age requirement? Do they live in the zip codes that are of issue? Are they a participant in Access Harris County? They will look at their documents to verify their income, look at the income eligibility requirements. Once they complete that process, then the second phase is they will then randomly select the 1,900 individuals that will participate in this program and receive $500 a month for 18 months. And we are eager and excited for this process. As we've said, we want to verify and proof the concept, and we cannot do that without a robust evaluation process, and we've brought in a vendor that is going to evaluate the effectiveness of this program in engaging participants. We know, as we've seen in other places, the outcomes are very positive, and we're confident that we will see them here in Harris County. And I just want to say in closing that I really want to thank Harris County Public Health Office of Planning and Innovation. They worked diligently with Give Directly to stand this program up within a 3-month time period. And I can't commend them enough for that effort. And we've done tremendous work to outreach in the community. Our community health workers have gone out to the zip codes and canvassed those neighborhoods and shared information about this upcoming program. And we know that we're confident that we're going to see successful outcomes. So with that, I will turn it back over to Judge Hidalgo.
We'll hear from our County Administrator, Diana Ramirez.
Very quickly, thank you all. Yeah, and as Judge Hidalgo said, nearly half of all households in the U.S. don't have the $400 in cash on hand to be able to pay for an emergency or unexpected bill. So we're starting this program with the working hypothesis that Harris County residents living in poverty that are selected for this program will spend the program funding of $500 per month the way poor people in other jurisdictions have, on food, on medicine, rent and utilities, gas and car maintenance, and other essentials. So they won't be forced to pick between a child's inhaler and paying their electric bill. They won't be, they'll be able to buy a new tire instead of having to miss work and losing out on a day's pay because they're hourly workers. So there's a growing body of research that we've been looking at on these programs, it shows that guaranteed income works. It moves households out of poverty. It improves physical and mental health outcomes for participants, and it helps people reenter the workforce. So our program will contribute to this research by being rigorously evaluated to ensure our working hypothesis holds for Harris County. So we're excited to launch Uplift Harris, help add to the body of evidence that shows guaranteed income works, and help a few of our neighbors make ends meet. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll now hear from Pastor Deckard.
Very briefly, when you pulled up, you saw a line of cars. Those are people that's waiting for food and groceries. A great man once said, when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was homeless, you gave me shelter. We follow the model of that great man. Provide food, groceries, shelter, whatever a person needs. This program, we are so honored to be a part of this program. Thank you, Judge Hidalgo. Thank you, Commissioner Rodney Ellis. Thank you, Harris County. We are so honored because we have an opportunity to assist people who are going through, to help them go through. And together collectively, even though we know we cannot solve every issue, this is another step of making this world a better place to live, work, and worship. So I thank you, Harris County. Again, thank you, Commissioner's Court. Thank you, Judge Hidalgo, for making this possible. Because somebody in that line right now, it's going to make a great difference in their life. They will now be able to feed their children and pick their heads up. So thank you. And programs like this is very needed in Houston and Harris County. May God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. And to your congregation, we'll take any questions.
Judge Hidalgo, I know you mentioned in Spanish, there's about people who may be undocumented. Can you give us a little bit about those efforts you talked about in English?
Yes, so folks who are undocumented, they can apply if they're part of a household where there's somebody in the household who has legal residence status. That includes green card holders, refugees, asylees. The issue is right now that person in the household needs to be 18. But we have until February 2nd to figure out whether it's possible for a child who is under 18 to be, obviously the child wouldn't be the one receiving the money, but if it would be possible to do that. I believe we've done that with a past program. And I was chatting to the folks outside that the pastor was talking about, and many of them are undocumented. And I said, well, if you have someone in his household, we said, well, they're 15. So, I'm continuing to fight this fight in the sense that the income inequality impacts everybody, whether or not they have papers, and both documented and undocumented work incredibly hard to make ends meet. We have one of the folks out there had a stroller because there's about to be a baby born in the household, and so they must be part of the conversation, not an afterthought.
Pues, Alina Hidalgo, usted decía que tienen hasta el 2 de febrero para saber si esas personas van a ser elegibles. ¿De quién depende esa decisión?
Mis colegas, realmente los líderes aquí departamentales, entonces los invito a que sigan haciendo esa pregunta, porque y realmente a las familias mi recomendación sería apliquen y después, bueno, si se logra que haya la elegibilidad, ok, ya están ahí disponibles, y si no, bueno, pues si hay un programa similar en el futuro, se les puede contactar, porque tenemos la información. Entonces, pero ahorita de aquí al 2 de febrero depende de los departamentos que ven aquí, mis colegas en la Corte de Comisionados, ver cómo vamos a hacer para que familias que de repente tengan una persona menor de edad, que sea ciudadano, que esa persona pueda hacer lo que los ayuda a que la familia en sí califique. Estoy casi segura que hemos hecho eso anterior para uno de los programas federales.
Entonces, ¿se designaría o se definiría en una junta de comisionados, en una votación?
Puede que lo resuelva los mismos líderes del condado, de la burocracia, o puede que tenga que ir a la corte, ya veremos. Espero que lo puedan resolver entre ellos, porque en el pasado no ha sido tan complicado, pero bueno, de repente las leyes cambian, cambia el abogado del condado y las opiniones son distintas, y finalmente nosotros tenemos que seguir lo que diga el abogado del condado. porque si no, entonces no tenemos defensas legales nosotros como líderes. Es esa la lucha que estoy teniendo ahorita, es con los líderes de los departamentos y con el abogado del condado.
If you can't use federal dollars for undocumented individuals, do you want to have a create a new program? How far away could it be? And where do you get the money to fund something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I believe we can use general funds, and that's the ongoing discussion we have with the county attorney, because I know we have used general funds in the past. Oop. How is this going to work? All right. I know we've used general funds in the past for direct assistance program. That was back with the CARES Act. This was federal funding from President Trump, and we used the CARES money for the folks who had papers, and then the general fund money for the undocumented. And so, you know, that is an ongoing conversation. But of course, as I was mentioning, is we have to follow what the county attorney says, and they basically said, you know, they weren't there at the time and they can't speak to it. And for as far as alternative sources beyond the general funds, well, one thought is philanthropic funding. The county is not particularly well positioned to raise funds from philanthropy, but it is something that we want to get better at. And so we've been actively recruiting for a director of philanthropy in the county. And what we discussed yesterday with the county administrator was, well, let's recruit that person and make this their first task. So I'll be pushing for that, but my hope is that at minimum we can get the folks who have a household member under 18 be sort of the person from the household that allows the household itself to qualify, because I believe we've done that before for other programs.
Can you guarantee Friday at 9 a.m. that website's going to be running?
Man, if it's not, people are going to be getting calls from me personally. I've been guaranteed it's going to be running. But, you know, websites, they can have glitches anytime. We all remember the healthcare.gov. Man, I remember trying to fill that out. So let's hope it's all going to be smooth, and we can perhaps foresee a rush of people applying, which is why we've already grown the server, but we're also telling people you have until February 2nd. But I've certainly requested, I know the departments have requested from the vendors that everything be up and running, and I hope they'll be able to deliver that.
What's the regulations as far as people being in the program and say they do something and don't follow the regulations? Who monitors it? Who monitors the families?
So we have vendors that are responsible for administering the program, and I'll let Director Robinson answer with more granularity. What I will remind you is that there is no monitoring as to specific expenses. There's regulating of specific expenses. There's monitoring in the sense that at the end we want to be able to say, okay, what kind of expenses were these funds used for, to see if they were used for productive purposes. But the research has shown that the program has better outcomes if we don't prescribe what the funds need to be used for. In other words, if we were to say the funds must be used for food or for medical bills, what happens if their car needs a tire change, as the administrator mentioned? So anyway, let me let the director finish my comments here.
Yeah, I want to be clear that the eligibility requirements are the requirements for the program. As the judge said, right, the goal of this program and what has been proved in other jurisdictions is self-determination, is what individuals living in poverty need, and they know best what their needs are and how to utilize those funds to support their families, and they've used them for those purposes. And as she said, during the evaluation, we will learn and understand how those funds are used. We know that individuals living in poverty want nothing more than to not live in poverty, want nothing more than the ability, when an emergency bill comes up, to be able to pay that, want nothing more than to have housing stability and funding to pay their utilities, especially as we head into the winter months.
Two quick points, if I might. One, this is not the first time a guaranteed income program has been done in America. The administrator we picked to run it is very qualified. They happen to run the longest continuous guaranteed income program in the world. It's in Kenya. So we have the benefit of looking at best practices around the country. That's not to say that we can't make improvements. With regard to people who don't have the documented status, I am very sympathetic to that issue. As you heard the judge express, she is as well. I'm hoping that there are 3 votes, maybe 4, on Commissioner's Court to do a second program This program is down the road, but if we do another program, whether it's another 10 million, which I think would make us the largest one in the country. I think Cook or LA might be 40 million. Another 20 million, we would match what they're doing in one of those counties. What we could do is take some things that we're paying for with general fund money, pay for that with ARPA money, and then take that general fund money, set up a second program, and make as many changes as we want to make when we do it, provided we comply with the law, or we make an assessment on how much risk we're going to take. Okay?
Quick question, I know it mentioned of access and other programs, so you apply on Uplift Harris, but you're also taking people who apply through access, so not everyone who's applying through Uplift, should people apply to both, just one?
So Access has certain eligibility requirements. Access is a coordinated care model within Harris County, looking at individuals. There are 5 cohorts of populations, and those are Black maternal health, Hispanic chronic disease, reentry population, homeless individuals. Those folks are able to participate in the program through a randomized process of selecting them as well. And we know that they are some of the most vulnerable individuals in the county because they have shared needs across multiple safety net and public benefit programs.
So do some of those funds from Uplift Harris group, the people who apply there are going to people who are
They're
apply
part-
for access, or is that the same thing?
They're part of the 1,900 individuals. So,
Can you give them the percentage?
oh, sorry,
breakdown?
it's 70% from the zip codes and 30% from Access.
Tengo otra pregunta.
Sí, adelante.
Voy a responder en español. Mi pregunta es la siguiente. Personas que van a ser elegibles, que van a recibir estos $500 mensuales, pero que ya tienen otros beneficios como food stamps, ¿les va a afectar? ¿Esto va a ser considerado como un income que a lo mejor no pudieran calificar en un futuro para otros beneficios?
Yo creo que no, pero déjeme pregunto. I think it's a very important question in English too. Is if there are people who have other benefits like food stamps, is this going to be considered income to where they may not qualify for benefits they currently receive? And I think the answer is no. But I'll pass it on to the director before I say the wrong thing.
Yeah, so that was a question, and we know that our vendor has deep experience in working through these issues. We're able to apply for a waiver so that individuals, it defeats the purpose if we're giving someone $500 and they lose a $700 benefit. So the goal, and we're highly confident that individuals will maintain their other public benefits while they're enrolled in the program.
So they shouldn't be afraid of, applying.
Yes. So yes, thank you for raising that question. We want everyone to apply. That is the goal, right, is to lean in with all the resources that are necessary to help lift people out of poverty.
Look, I do happen to know because I talked to a LA County Commissioner supervisor, and a situation like that came up. You ought to apply. If in doubt, don't guess. Just apply. But before the money flows to you, then make a decision. Because in Los Angeles, the supervisor told me she happened to personally meet with one person that fell into a similar category on the food stamps. And it wasn't clear whether or not they'd get the waiver. But they thought they would get it, and that person decided to take the risk. But apply regardless, and then cross that bridge when you get to it.
And that was going to be my message, actually, and I mentioned it in Spanish earlier, but I'll say it in English as well, is if you are in one of these 10 zip codes and you are low income, we're going 200% of the federal poverty line, that would be my message, is apply. As you all heard, that group is going to be narrowed down, randomized selection to about 6,000 people, and then there will be in-depth review of eligibility, and then there will be 2,000 people. Just the day at Commissioner's Court, I had questions about the vendors, so I called my counterpart at Cook County where they had a similar program that was successful, and they said the vendor did a very good job, so I am hopeful that it's going to go well, that they're going to do a thorough job making sure people don't lose benefits by receiving this, and so right now what we're trying to do is get those applications in so that folks can receive the services if they're selected.
Just one more, and I'll get time for it. Thank you. We have many thousands of residents in the local zip code who we're going to make sure apply. My question, if you care to answer it, is how do you plan to track the long-term effectiveness of the program?
Thank you. Well, for now, the contract will be, with the evaluation, is through the length of the program. And Longer term, well, if we're able to make the case for an additional investment based on the results, then we'd be able to look at it on the longer term. It'd be up to the court whether it's worth tracking, effects for those same families who received the 18 months of support and what those impacts were years and years later. That would have to be a decision whether it's a good use of taxpayer dollars. My hope is that the program will prove successful and that we can extend it. Thank you.
Just very quick, the 12 sites that they're going to be people helping people, are they published in a website or do you have them handy?
They're available
On the Uplift Harris. So remember, it's uplift.harriscountytx.gov. The application, it does have to be online, but there's support via phone, and there's 12 sites where people can help you submit it on a computer.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
You don't want me to take your phone, huh?
Yes, sir.